Visuals. Sorry about that.
You want me to recap them from what I note?
Why don't you do that?
So, just to recap the first, really only one agenda item. We accepted minutes from November. We talked about updates from the donation of Carl Hyatt of a photograph and how to incorporate that into a future meeting to go through the donation art process. We discussed the installation of the sculpture Endeavor at Bohankel Park. We discussed some of the next steps at Bohankel Park, including some upcoming improvements to the pavilion. We discussed a sculpture that is going to go onto the Maplewood Ave Deer Street intersection area. That is an Italian family memorial as part of the 400th Portsmouth 400th anniversary. And we talked about some background research that Jen did on statues for equality and to help inform whether or not we might make recommendations for any entity that wants to work with that organization.
Thank you.
You're now up to date. So, Laura and Nancy, I think, Sean, you've got the PowerPoint, maybe you can take us through it. And when I was looking at this, I was thinking of this, okay, this is could be done on Zoom, could be done in a school classroom, could be done in a public gathering. So maybe take us through it. And I don't know if you want to go all the way through and then see what comments people have at the end. Probably. Knowing this book, everybody has already taken a look, so probably don't have to spend too much time.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Just to start us off, this is basically taking, I think our very first meeting, I showed you the engagement plan we did for the other. It basically took the bones of that and then Mara and I updated it and made it pertain to this project.
Sorry, it's moving.
And so this is just a draft and this is just our suggestions, and we are absolutely open to whatever feedback.
And I think that some of the I don't know what has happened since we corresponded last.
Yeah, I rearranged. a
You did
couple
rearrange it,
things
good.
and
Go
moved
back to
some
the
things.
beginning.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll keep going.
Really jumped up.
So,
Okay.
okay, here we go. So, the way we had envisioned it, and this isn't the way it has to be, is that we kind of start big and narrow down. So the first thing that we can talk about is percent for our ordinance. And I would recommend that the people that have the knowledge pertaining to each slide might be the ones that present that. So I would offer that Chris probably has the most knowledge about, if you want to go to the next. About the percent for our ordinance and you know what that means in terms of the project. So that's how we can start it. And the next one, Mara had, do you mind if I just walk
Oh,
through it?
go right
Mara
ahead.
had the wonderful idea to connect images to some of the projects that we have already completed, which are, we've completed 2, the fire station #2, and the next one at Foundry Garage.
It's not the slides are not moving. Jen, are they moving for you?
They're not moving.
No.
I don't know.
Are the slides moving for you folks? Or are you just talking through this?
In preview, and
I am.
yeah, I think you're in preview and not, because you should be able to, this should look like it looks like on your laptop. Can you?
We're viewing Sean's screen. And so I should change the view options. Is that the point?
No,
No, okay.
no, I don't.
So what did you do right before you clicked on this? Did you have a
I
desk?
went to a desktop. I opened it on my email, then when I shared.
This is your, I think this is your email
Rather
preview.
than share.
Okay.
Yeah, so I
Okay.
think you need to take it off your email and put it on your computer. Download.
Right. That's the,
Yep.
That.
I'd have to also stop share and reshare because it
Still have to reshare.
Okay. Now it's that. And now you have the capability, should.
Yay.
I think it's
Thank
gonna
you.
work.
Slideshow, where's
I
slide?
just,
Slideshow's up there.
Yeah, slideshow right there.
We're on it.
On.
It
And
should be
then,
on.
yeah, it should be. Oh,
okay.
same.
Oh, okay, and then you should be able to,
Right. I'm trying to get,
Okay.
there we go. Oh, I don't. Okay, got it.
So Ellen and Jen, are you okay now?
Yes, thank
Yes,
you.
thank you.
So that's the first, what do we call fire station number 2? Foundry Garage has 2.
Uh-oh.
Going in. Uh-oh, no. Can't see it again.
The sound is different now. What happened to the sound? Ah. Okay, never mind. Keep going.
Are they
Jen?
talking?
Jen, can you hear?
No.
Now I can hear. Now that you just changed something, I can hear.
Okay.
Jen,
I can hear now.
yes.
See that when you turn your head.
Okay.
Keep your mic with you.
Okay. Okay. Then we got into, if you could go forward one more time.
Two.
Okay, maybe,
Slide, just get down there.
Just got stuck.
What about using your mouse and just do a forward click on that?
okay. Then I thought, we thought at this point, perhaps, Alyssa or Bob, who knows about placemaking, might want to chime in or, on what placemaking is and how art can, I mean, you don't have to, but I know Bob would be all over this, but
I did.
I did not want to exclude you.
I guess that gets to one of my comments I would make at the end about whether we're really talking about placemaking or whether we're talking about a piece of art, because I would say placemaking is a multifaceted approach and we're not really,
Doing that.
I don't know, it's a question.
Okay,
So I can talk about it if we feel it's appropriate, but I do question whether that's,
okay,
Well, you could think of it, well, we're not doing all the other things to happen in Pierce Island. You know, the trails, the trail signage, all of those things, we're adding.
how
to
this is an
what is
adding to the
place that is
holistic
kind of
piece. Okay,
continually in process.
all right, sure.
but we can also take it out if it's too much information. That's definitely, Okay, so, and then there's just more information about that, so we can just kind of skip by those. And that's kind of how we talk about how public art contributes. A lot of people don't understand the value of public art, and
Yeah.
so this is a good opportunity to talk about economic development and community building and all that good stuff. Okay. And then we talk about how it's okay if you don't like public art and it's okay if it's not beautiful. Those are two very important pieces of information that are good for the public to have, that any one of us can deliver any of that information. And then after we kind of give that overview, it's a good time to stop and ask people just in general if they have questions about public art and percent for art and the project. And then we can dive into the specifics. So we grabbed a screenshot of the aerial view of the location that we're looking at and a couple of on the ground views that I took last weekend in the beautiful gray.
It's crying out for something.
I
I'll say
know,
that.
I know. And I'm hoping that helps orient people. And then Mara went through and pulled out and kind of synthesized some of the history of Pierce Island that we found on the website. I did not have any luck with, I reached out to a historian to see if there was pre-colonial information about Pierce Island. I have not heard anything. I Googled it a lot. I looked at different indigenous websites. I couldn't find information.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Right, which is why I gave, when I
Yeah.
started, I
So I wouldn't say it's not because it doesn't exist. I would say that that's something we should continue to look for.
right. I mean, the only thing that I heard, that I read was just so general as to be so absolutely pointless.
Right. I mean, other than it's the land of like everything was here.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
but she pulled out some information. I won't read it word for word. And then we went through and brought up some imagery from the website that's connected to the site and the history of the shipbuilding that was there. And what's next, the pool. I thought it was kind of neat that this was a WPA project. I don't know that the average person knows that. I think that's kind of neat.
I thought that was neat too.
And of course, our two-phase wastewater treatment facility, which is the reason for peace. And then more of just what's out there. Go ahead.
Magic.
Of course.
It's like, okay, now dogs, now that I've got your attention.
And then we thought about, so what are some ways to help people, walk them through and what is one of the words you used?
Did I say resident? Oh,
Just
yeah.
to get them actively engaging in more than one way. So we had them think
Yeah.
about words and feelings and themes, but also if they had visual images or things in their heads, like what those were. Obviously, if we're in an in-person setting, we could do big poster
Yes,
boards
that
and
would
have
be
them
fun.
write down.
Yeah.
If we're in a Zoom setting, we can have, we could do, say that again.
We could do a Padlet.
Yep, or they can just do it
Yeah.
in message
Yeah.
or, there's just all kinds. We can do breakouts and one of us could be in every room. I mean, there's just a lot of different ways we can capture this. And then we also thought it would be interesting to ask them some of their thoughts on how people can interact or engage with the piece, because I don't think that's something that people tend to think about, is that it's not something that you necessarily only have to look at. Some art is meant to be engaged with. And so what are their thoughts on that? And then this is something that we have to decide, how are we going to incorporate those thoughts and ideas into the RFP? And that's probably something we should talk about when we get to, yes. And then this came from Chris, your document.
Yep.
We just plugged that in to let them know this is the process. And then Mara and I just took a very optimistic stab at we just pushed the timeline back a little. Obviously this is up for discussion and probably a little reality check.
Yeah.
So,
But we also did look at an actual calendar when we were making these, when we did this
Yeah.
list. I mean,
Yeah.
not only did we think, okay, so what could possibly happen in the real world, but like what was going on outside of this. There's one, what is it? Some of the dates,
Memorial
they
Day,
fit with like,
yeah.
when Memorial Day, when the 4th of July happens. And I think the June 28th is like
Yeah.
right before July 24th.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
not July
Yeah.
4th.
yeah,
I'm
we
not
looked at
saying-
things like Mondays and Fridays so that we weren't putting weird
Yeah.
timelines in the
Yeah.
middle of the week. So that's
And
how we.
That's gonna be proposed all the way through, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, little adjustments to go.
Yeah.
I think it's great. I love that we're using it both to educate people about broad terms as well as focus on.
Probably dig in a little bit more about like what we're particularly specifically asking them to do in the discussion groups, like, and I was kind of struggling with that when I was looking at the community engagement plan, like, what do we want from them when?
Actually, I think that's a good point. I think at the very beginning, even before we get into anything else, we should talk about purpose. What are we gonna be doing tonight or in this meeting? And what's the purpose of why we're asking you? I think that is probably something that should come first. That was
Yes,
the
I'm taking notes.
thoughts. And I think that that is challenging. We're not asking them to design it. We're asking them to give ideas that the artist will use to design it. I'm really glad you put the discussion break before it, because I think that may also be, you might even think of moving that wastewater treatment plant slide or repeating that earlier,
think that
so
might
that
be a good
people
idea.
get that near the purpose, so they, you know, we'll be giving you some background, but we will be asking you for specific ideas that the artist will use to design an appropriate.
Yep,
Like
I'm adding
something-
all of it. Any other feedback? Yes.
Yeah, I love the whole context section is great. I feel like we might want to, in the first part of, but what is public art? All the text was wonderful and I think really covered it, but we only show the two things we've done. And I want to make sure that
Yes.
public art is not just statues. It is not just figurative. Like
Mhm.
if we could show some more examples of public art that happens
And
elsewhere.
actually, the fire station wasn't a commission because they turned down percent for art. They turned down the dollars. So they paid for those quantities.
Really?
But I think you're right. It allows us, as long as we talk about, here are examples of public art.
Yeah.
you
Right.
know,
Can be
opens it
sound,
up.
public art can be,
Yes. Yes.
video, public art can be.
Can we ask,
Mm.
can we ask, you to send those to Sean, other ideas, if you've got things in mind that,
Mm.
that are different from a three-dimensional. Yeah,
Yeah.
if you've got other things in mind, send to
And
Sean.
even some of the other Portsmouth art too. Like
Yes.
Right.
just weave that
Yeah.
in.
If
And
anybody,
that can go quickly. I mean,
We do have publicly, the fires, both fire stations, those are paid for by members of the public. African Burying Ground is a city project. It wasn't a percent for art commission, but we do have other examples even of city. Yeah, some
love that.
landscape art maybe.
Actually, the African burial ground is a kind of landscape articulation.
It is.
I mean, that it moves you from one spot through
Mhm.
that space to another spot, but in a guided kind of way.
And actually, that shows how you could do more than one thing on that
That's
site.
right.
any
And
other,
that's also almost like the size of what we're looking for too, because it's kind of a big space that we're looking at.
One of the things I would like to see on the, in the slides is a picture from above, if we can, that would show that whole area. I think there was a picture somewhere that I saw that, and so maybe we could blow it up a little bit and put a circle around the area, but give them a sense. I mean, it says playground. In one of the slides, it says playground and has an arrow, but I think it's hard to understand the concept.
yeah, there
and
was an
where
area,
it's gonna
we'll try and pull it up.
go. Yeah,
Maybe a
so.
in addition to that photo, maybe a schema. You know, we have the map schema with some dimensions on it. That might help do what you're.
Yes, yeah. I think that's a great idea too. Because when you show the picture of the the wastewater treatment plant, it just looks so giant. You're thinking, oh, now how is there room on the island for anything else? For
And then can you see this on the screen right now?
That's
can I see this room? I see the room and all of you sitting around the table. Oh,
Okay. That's why you're not seeing the
Aerial.
image.
and I know we don't want to lead the audience per se, but I think it really would be helpful to put out some of the things we've just been discussing about, like, you know, there's such a large space. It could have pathways, it could have interaction, it could have, like, I think we should say some of those things at some point in
mhm.
discussion.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, great. Okay. That's really helpful.
Okay, great.
It's there.
Beth, to your point, maybe we could take some dimensions and then give people some analogs, you know, it's as big as Market Square, it's
Yeah.
as, you know,
Yeah.
just we can get some, I mean, that would help me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great, Chris.
We endeavored
Thank
to follow, like that's
Right.
really helpful. When you said that, I was like, oh, wow, we could go up.
Okay,
The-
Oh,
great idea.
But I
Now,
think it's fabulous. I think it's like, okay, we could do this tomorrow.
Huh?
Any other suggestions of things that are missing or things that are superfluous?
I thought it was great. I guess the one thing I would say, like in the discussion part, when you just have discussion, I think if you just had the discussion and questions, and then have that as another place to restate the purpose, because we can state the purpose at the beginning, but I think you need to restate the purpose here, so that when people are looking at the other things, they can have an idea of what we're actually looking for them to put. But again, to your point, as far as we can kind of lead them through the discussion, it's this big, this is what it is. And that might be the place to do it. The other thing I really liked about this, especially the history, I think this is going to be really invaluable also to the artists,
Oh, yes.
because they're going to look at this and go, wow, okay, it's not just a place that has a playground and a pool.
Mm-hmm.
There's really history behind this. And oh my gosh, look at all the other things, especially if you're not local or not familiar with where it is. But I thought it was just terrific.
I don't know if Nancy, you did this with the Foundry, but you know, on federal projects, when we bid things, they often do what they call a bidders conference. So we may even want to do something like this for artists.
We did do that. We did a site walk and a presentation. And we had it live and we had people also on FaceTime.
Yeah.
We
and now
didn't
we
have
can
a
do
Zoom because it was before Zoom. Well, it wasn't before Zoom, but it was before everyone
Right.
Zoomed. But so we had a live walkthrough, and then we had a couple people from Art Speak on FaceTime with out of area artists so that they could see things.
Wow.
Yeah.
Things have gotten easier.
Yeah.
So I think with those couple of changes that
Okay.
will be.
And then realize too, like you have all of those questions up because it's so easy in a PowerPoint to just zip through things. You could have one question at a time.
Right.
That's a simple.
Yeah.
fit.
Do we,
Didn't you volunteer to make
I
the
would
slide?
like to.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is
Pass it over.
this is a little updated version. We'll send it to you and all the notes are in the minutes.
Excellent. I would love to do that.
so I have a question. Do we, in looking at this, do we want to show people some different kinds of sculpture in Portsmouth as to help them, but
Yes.
also maybe things that are in other places that they might recognize that are more, I don't know, that are different from anything that's in Portsmouth,
I think we can.
to help spark ideas.
I think the African burial ground will show how pieces can be connected that everybody looking at this can relate to. But I mean, I can think of that are sculpture, but that are interactive, that are meant to be inhabited by people walking through them. And and I'm sure a lot other people can think of.
Yeah.
Well, and Chris, months ago, when we first started talking about that, you made the point, and I think that got us thinking about themes about, we have dog walkers, just regular walkers, we have runners, we have fitness people, we have swimmers, there's so much that happens out on Pierce Island.
Yeah.
I'd love to have a slide on that too.
Yes.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Maybe a collage of all the things that
Mhm.
happen in Pierce Island.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not a one-stop shop.
I like the idea of giving people visuals of what goes on out there, because it might help them think about, the sculpture is talking about it. It's a very visual thing. So I think that's a really good suggestion.
I don't know if these exist anywhere in City Hall, but when we did the plan, the new plan for the master plan for Prescott Park, we had lots of examples from other places of sculptures, and they came, I think, from the consultants that we had there at that time, but you know, we had slides and
Mm,
lots of things, so I don't know who owns those anymore, but in the archives, there should be information. All right, so shall we go on to the engagement plan?
Yeah.
And I had a nice talk with Monty Bohannon to ask how much support we can get from the city. Before we look at this, let me just sort of give you a sense of that. And Monty, as I think Nancy told us before, is very eager to
Copies.
help with this. Oh, great.
Pass these out.
Yeah, there's a marketing plan template. Well, this will be something that we can use for the future as well. But the good news is that once we do some messaging, Monty can take care of media, all the social media that the city does, city department newsletters like the school department, the library. If we had our website up and running and we had a place for e-blasts, anybody who signed up for wanting information from us, we'll develop a list and we could, you know, send it to them. Channel 22, you can get, you know, a crawl on channel 22. So basically, he will handle all of those things once we decide what parts, what, you know, where we want to
The
focus.
content happens here.
Content happens here, and then he will do all that. I think for folks like outside the regular city roles, like you know, other arts organizations, we probably might take that on, or individuals, we might take that on, but that's going to be a big help. In terms of design, he can help with design, some visual design, doing something that he said would be fairly simple,
If it's, yes,
you know.
he wanted me to reiterate that. He's,
Right. But he'd use it always to. I think that's great because then it's something we can use all the way through as a
Every
design
corner of
element.
our deck.
I think, you know, that's extremely helpful to know that because we don't have to use all those strategies, but knowing that he'll be able to do that. We don't have a budget as far as I know. So things like print, we probably should stay away from, you know, digital media is going to do most of this anyway, I think, in announcements. But if we did want to go at some point to printing or whatever, we'd have to seek out some funds to do that. Probably we could make a case that some funds in the Public Art Trust Fund could be used in that way. You know, they wouldn't be large amounts of money.
But if we limit that, it's more sustainable too. So
So
maybe
it's
we
true.
just have small pieces if we wanted anything hard copy.
That's true.
Sean, could you send that can you email that to Ellen and I?
yes.
Beth, given
Yeah.
that, do you want to?
So this is actually fantastic because what I was trying to do, and I did misspell Pierce Island a couple times. I do know it's PEI. So apologize for that. But Sean, if you want to bring that up, or I can just walk through it. What I was trying to is just to get my arms around in general, you know, our
Yeah.
goal for engaging community members, what the different communication vehicles were. And I think I captured everything that was discussed here in the last meeting. Press releases, op-ed submissions, neighborhood committee outreach. I'm not going to go through it all. But then when I just started to put down a tentative timeline for a plan, you guys did. It really comes down, the first big one, which it's almost for December, but we can start working on that, is the messaging, right?
Yes, and I have started that, which if we get to that, we'll have a slide on that.
Perfect. Yeah, even if we have the basic, how are we going to talk about the project, a simple visual, and then what do we want from the audiences? So when we first go out about this, are we going to tie it to the date of our first education session? Or are we just going to do a general one about we're working on this, and we might want to do, feed them in a couple different ways. Here, we have a 1%, we're gonna start doing this, watch for invitations, or we tie it
That's
to
a good
that
idea.
first meeting. And then I started just doing, next steps really was fleshing out who was on point for some of these vehicles, which you just answered, Monty, for a lot of this. And then decide how we want to roll out comms in general. And I think that's where we weave in the op-ed submissions and how deep do we want to get in? So who are the ones we want to hit first, and then go to
I like the idea. I hadn't thought of it. I like the idea of something very soon that just says what we're working on.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of like the Portsmouth Listen Circles that just came up around housing. That's kind of sprung up. It was like, oh my goodness, it sprung up and people are already supposed to sign up. But if we can give this as a preview and then look for opportunities to participate, I think that's an excellent idea.
like a trickle.
Yeah, Kate.
I'm also, if you're prepared to share, I'm happy to announce during the January 16th city council meeting, whatever this group wants me to share. I'm happy to put that on the agenda under my name, and
By that time, I think we'd be ready
Yes.
to announce the opportunities for public engagement. So I would definitely say we would want to do.
And we can start small and then build more. So if we want to say, January 5th, we want to get something out in general, it's just be 2 lines.
Yeah,
And then the next week, we're gonna have the dates for the first event, where we're gonna do educational event. And then we can do it together, come up with that. Or if we decide today what we want to do, I can rough something up and
in thinking about that, it seemed to me that we'd probably like to do at least 2 in person, because just different times, and at least 1 Zoom. In addition to some connections with the school department, I was thinking both at the middle school and at the high school with the visual arts teachers, this would make such a nice class with kids to go through this and then engage them.
these teachers might have a student who might be interested in being
Part of the
involved with
review,
us and could be
yeah.
part of the presentation, and
That'd be great. That actually argues for maybe trying to do the kids earlier.
I love that.
So does that make sense to people? We would try first with a kind of an announcement of the, what are we trying for? And then the second one, really blast, would be, what are the engagement opportunities we have?
Yes.
Plus the schools. If we did 2 in-persons, a Zoom, I was thinking we could do the senior center. See if they could want to host some of these things. Haven't really been happening there very much, as well as the library. And then what I haven't thought about, Beth, I don't know if you thought about if there's people want to just send in ideas, if there's a mailbox or a, I don't know if we want to do that. Did you do that, Nancy, for Foundry?
Yes, we did. We had an ongoing, we had like with an end date
Yeah,
submission opportunity that people could talk to us about before we finalize the RFP. We also did that again at the end with for people to provide feedback on the finalists that we chose, and we got no feedback.
Mm,
We did get some in the beginning, but at the end, people didn't provide feedback. I don't know why.
I think the mail-in idea, we could really make that work, but I think it might be most helpful after we have some of the events.
I think
So
you're
we
right.
could do
Yeah.
say, these are the themes that have come out of
I
these
think you're right.
7 events.
Yeah.
Give us your feedback, because
Right.
then it gives
Yeah.
us something
You don't have
specific to give feedback on.
I've been doing that just in my work with Padlet, And then leaving those Padlets open so people can continue to use them and others can use them as well. They're just online and you could have the different themes. You have a little synopsis and then people could just add they can add anonymously ideas to Padlets.
It sounds good.
You'd be
Thank you,
interested.
Chris.
Yeah.
It's like a bulletin board that's
Yeah.
very flexible and it's online. I have an account. You can do so many without an account.
Yeah,
Uh,
sounds great.
and then it's designable, so you can make it look nice as well.
On that visually.
I mean, we've done something like this with the climate action process.
Okay,
Where we had ongoing input that could come in through website. So.
Good.
it's possible.
another thing that the city has, you've probably done this with some of the interactive, is online polling and immediate polling through like Slido. So you can be in a meeting and you can do polling. So that's another option we could do in a meeting or on
Yeah.
Zoom.
You can do that on Zoom, yep.
Did you say you were already starting to work on some rough messaging?
I did. Do you want to show?
She had to fill the time between cookie batches.
I thought I put this all on Zoom, but
Well, I just sent you this today. so I
today.
don't
Oh,
think
the
you
one
could-
today.
yeah,
Yes,
you
yes,
couldn't
yes,
have
yes.
done that.
Definitely. have. I want to download this first and foremost.
Stop sharing.
Guys.
Oh, there you go.
Can you see this online, guys?
No.
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 I didn't stop sharing, right?
While we're waiting, do you think I can, since we're announcing it, can I send Beth the slides for her to ignite? Is that violate
Sean?
1-to-1.
one-to-one?
1-to-1. is
And
not a
I'm
problem.
doing it
No
like right
problem.
now?
Yeah.
Listen, Alyssa and I have been.
Okay,
We're
great.
just not going to comment on that.
Great.
Nancy.
Gosh. I'm looking for a. Not showing it right now. So. That is. I want to go.
Jen and Ellen, are you still there?
Yes,
We are.
Okay,
No,
good.
I'm the problem.
We can see you and hear you. You just, what we have is,
there were two bullet points on the core message that we saw.
I think I got rid of it, so.
I think you did.
No.
can you read them out and maybe we'll just take notes on them?
There we go.
There
Now
we
we got
go.
it.
Thank you.
But we don't.
Shall we read them
no.
to you?
Yes.
No? It's here on my screen.
Yeah, we see it on your screen.
Now we see your email, so.
Oh,
Private email.
I will read the points and just, I think the thing is, obviously, these are not done for wordsmithing, just see what else needs to go into a release. So first is a call, it's about a call for members of the public to provide ideas for themes for a public art commission on Pierce Island, 1. This opportunity is created by the Percent for Art program applied to the wastewater treatment plant. Park will be releasing an RFP for artists for an identified site on Pierce Island later. I didn't say when. The RFP will include a suggested theme for a work of art, which could take different forms: landscape, a sculpture, single piece, several pieces. Park is now soliciting ideas for the themes. Opportunities to participate in a short workshop to develop the themes, in person by Zoom more, and for more information.
Great. And we can see it now, Sean. Thank you.
Yes.
Enjoying these screensavers.
I
though.
do have
I
a
know.
question about purpose and sort of how we're structuring. We are asking them for input on themes.
Right.
When somebody brought up polling, are we also asking for voting on themes, or, how will we, I
Yeah.
know it's up to us to ultimately decide the theme, but are we also trying to narrow it
I
in
think
the public?
I think we are, and I think, as Nancy said, if we had them in person, we could give them stickers to vote on things that.
Right.
We could get a sense of loading on themes. I
Mhm.
don't know if we want to vote across everything that everybody gives us, but within each setting, we could do that. We could do it on Zoom.
I think it's just, and this is probably not an issue, but sometimes with public meetings, focused people who are behind one thing show up in mass.
Right.
And this is not really, it's just a theme, but it is something that I just want to maybe sort of reserve the right to take the input and then
Absolutely.
deliberate, as opposed to
Yeah.
saying the public will choose because.
Yeah.
Can I comment a little bit on how we developed the themes? This is just another way to think about it, because we did things a little differently before on the previous project. We didn't talk about themes. We just asked people for what their thoughts and ideas and feelings and images and things, and collected words and phrases and such. And then we as a committee took all of those words and we put them into themes that grew out of the feedback. So that's just a different way to think about it. So we didn't come into it with history and Foundry, and we didn't come in with any of that. We just allowed those words and feelings to emerge. And then when we looked at them, they kind of fell into buckets, and then we labeled those buckets. That's just, I don't
I
know.
think that's a
Gives
great
you
way of.
more, gives us more control if we did something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But I think
Well,
we
it's
can
just
ask for
more
all of
expansive.
that. We still have the control.
Right.
When you think of it, some people just think in themes, some people will think in visuals, some will think in pictures, so we can elicit all of it.
And I think that the questions that we asked on the PowerPoint about,
Yeah.
what images are suggested to you, what resonates with you, what the kind of probing, open-ended questions. I mean, that is something that if you want to direct, but not tell the person, it's a tool that could help lead people without actually bludgeoning them. Because I think that it's wonderful, the process that came up as you described it in the Foundry, it's really cool that people sort of had thoughts and then you all organized them. And I think that makes a lot of sense. I mean, people aren't necessarily always going to come up with something that is accept or
From this discussion, it really draws the point about that you just made about maybe not doing polling because you don't want to be
Well,
that specific,
Right, and to be
right?
clear, I'm not concerned about control. I'm concerned about being as expansive
Yeah.
as we
Yeah,
can,
I
and
think
not trying
that's
to
good.
narrow too quickly to like pick A, B, or C, and just
Yeah.
keeping it broad. So I really like the approach that
Yeah.
you took previously.
But I do think it's helpful within a group to be able to see where are people's thoughts. So, you know, you might not have had the idea of putting up dogs, but once you see somebody has put it up, you might want to have an opportunity to say, oh, I really like that idea.
Mhm.
I think, but not to pull across the whole, but to do things within groups so people can also have a dialogue about why do I really like this? Why do I, you know, because it's the reasons that'll give us ideas. I think it's not the noun or the symbol. It's really why people are bringing up what they're bringing up.
I don't know who in this group said it at the beginning, Mara, it might have been you. I'm not sure. It could have been you. But I think as long as we're extremely clear about and communicate like how we're going to be using the input.
Yes.
And so people understand that if they come to a session and they say 5 things, you know, none of those things may end up
That's right.
ultimately, you know, in the RFP, but this is how, you know, and I think as long as we're very clear, we can have a lot of leeway with our engagement.
Well, and also we don't know yet if we're going to give one concept, 2 concepts, 3 to the artists. I mean, we may
Right.
give a number of concepts.
I do just want to say, as having been worked with Portsmouth Listens for a number of years, when they did, you know, the sticker polling, and it actually really helped focus. And I think what it did was it kind of just said, and I think that somebody had mentioned it earlier, if there's someone who's just very outspoken and they want their voice heard, but nobody else really appreciated that in the group, that kind of got put away, because it's like the majority of people, and everybody got to put, you know, they had 5 stickers or whatever. If there were 10 things on the wall, they got to choose that. They could put all 10 on one area. But I think it really kind of got us focused on what's really important to more people than just one single loud voice.
That's good.
Yes, that's
And
helpful.
that's going to be really helpful with young people to be able to allow that different ways of expressing what you think is most interesting. So this time has gone really quickly. I want to make sure we,
Have a second page.
yeah, but that's for actually
Okay.
Beth's next piece, because Beth has been very busy. So drafting these themes into a message, maybe that's something you and I can
Yeah, let's
work
do that.
on, and then it goes to Monty basically, and they do,
Yeah.
they'll also do a copy edit or make some
And I'll
suggestions.
take a stab at that, some trickle ideas too.
Yes, so
send
that
that
we
back and
can
forth.
be ready in early January to
Yep.
at least put out a general piece.
Yep.
I was going to talk about this at the end, but one thing I was thinking, given the momentum we have, we might not want to wait till the end of January for our next meeting. We might want to try a meeting, maybe the second week or something in January, if people are willing to do that, which would button up some of these things before your council meeting and allow us also to continue this progress.
Open for that.
Well, is our regular when would our regular meeting be in
It
January?
would be on January 31st.
Which is because it's the last Wednesday.
Yeah. That feels like
It's too
Way
far.
too far.
way too
Yeah.
far.
It's
Yeah.
away.
So
That's
Those are-
wild.
Oh, it's 5 weeks.
6 weeks. So
the 10th too early?
I know.
the 10th is too early. What do people think?
It's not for me. Is the room available? Do we have a way to know if the room is available?
I can find out tomorrow.
Yeah. Should we tentatively try for the 10th? And then I think that would be great timing to button up some of these things.
There's-
I have written that the 11th and 12th is what Randy Cohn is here, so I don't know if that starts on the 10th.
Don't
And
believe it
how that,
Does not.
But Monty told me everything in the city is happening on the 11th, so don't
Don't
do
Yeah.
it.
It is an amazingly busy, yes.
We do have a
On the
point on the
11th.
tenth
On
that
that
I can
11th.
see I have already.
Yeah.
so,
At the same time, or?
Yeah, I think it is. Might be pretty close. But I'll check and see if it's
And then maybe
actually
we can get some input from you or
Oh, well, of
whatever.
course, yeah. Definitely. One,
Okay.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, the 31st is 6 weeks away.
Yeah.
Too far.
I know, too far.
We are on a roll.
Yes.
2, 3.
It
5,
also
6.
reminds me, I forgot to mention in announcements, the mayor did announce at your city council meeting, one appointment, which is Lenny Mullaney. Some people may know Lenny, who's a
Yeah.
visual artist and had been a teacher at the high school, an
Yeah.
art teacher at the high school, and I think is a wonderful choice
Yeah.
for
Lenny
us.
is
I think
good.
she'll be really helpful. And
Also, in
another appointment pending.
Mhm. There's one
there,
or two.
in one of the slides, it still had Bob Thorson as a board member, and I believe he resigned. So,
I don't
Um,
think
that-
that's right, Ellen.
No,
Oh,
it's in
excuse
Ellen's.
Okay.
Or is it on the, it's on the face, it's on the page on the,
anyway, I just caught that. That's all. I was just,
Thank you. Lucas. Around.
So I know,
Okay, we're almost done.
Yes, we've got to
we're almost done.
run.
I'll just,
Do a quick synopsis. So Alyssa and I, is that what you wanted?
yes,
Alyssa and I got together and started to frame out what we could do for the website landing page, because there are some things we
Yep.
need to make corrections to immediately. And we could start off slow. Is Monty someone who can help with this as well?
yes.
When?
No, I mean.
No, Yeah, just he's off next week. I heard that
Yeah,
today.
yeah, no, I don't think it has to,
No
but
rush.
we'll need to spend a bit of time on this at some point. But I don't know if you want to try to pull it up, or we can I'll just quickly say, if you guys want to take a look at this deck, we put together, our idea was sort of the one landing page with a couple items on that page, and then off to the side, links to sub pages. So right now, there is some content up there that really isn't appropriate because it was used for when we were starting it and
Sure.
looking for people. So we took a stab at changing the verbiage. So we just have a very high level of what we're doing as an organization. We will need to have a mission statement.
And based on what you put here, I put one up for draft that we can all
Oh.
look at. We can send it around and do it.
Yeah.
'Cause we do need that.
Right. So, I mean, we could spend a whole session on
Yeah.
a mission statement or a week. Month. So we just drafted one simple one, and then we could even put maybe 2 or 3 out there and people can weigh in. And we don't have to own it forever. I mean, we could
That's right.
put it out there and then we can adjust it as needed. Thought maybe we could have a link to the virtual map of public art that
Yes.
Nancy, you've been talking about. When we have that ready, we could also do a very simple PDF of existing art and ask people to send stuff in. And I think we should actually do both, because some people don't like interactive app things, where others might just want to click on something. We go, oh, look at that. And then I just had fun taking pictures. So I think we should have a picture on each of the sub landing pages of what some of our art is. And then I took some of the existing definitions and just made a few edits to bring it up to speed. And then when we get down into like a landing page that talked about current projects, how much do we want to share about what is going on or what's coming up in the future? We could put RFPs here if we wanted to share that. We could, as much or as little as we want. And again, we don't have to put this all out now, but we could start with like 1, 2 sub landing
Yeah.
pages and then move from there.
I love
It's really good.
Oh, good. Okay,
Yeah,
so this is a
The only
start.
thing I thought that I put down is meeting agendas and minutes, some
Oh.
linked.
Oh,
We
yeah.
can just link to where the city is on that, but I think, and our videos, because we'll have agendas, minutes and videos, just for
Perfect.
people to catch up on.
Yeah, and then I also thought, based on what Jen was saying, we should have a resources section too. And
Yes,
we don't have to build it all at the beginning, but I think that will be there. Some of the work that Jen, you and Mara did on the exact definitions, we'll have that in. And then we have like a couple minutes left. I also think it's a really nice idea to do a meet the committee members
Yeah.
section. Alyssa and I put our headshots and a couple
Yeah.
bullets, but we could just have a simple PDF that people link to and see who we are.
I think it's,
I love it.
it's beautiful. I think it'd be great.
The
I wish-
only thing, the only I'm sorry, the only thing I had, and just based on what we were talking about, depending on when this goes, is just a subpage of like what's new or something that says, here's what you know, immediate things. So if we had something to, all the things for Pierce Island, we could put that information on there. Again, depending on when all this gets done.
Okay, that sounds great. And then also with the committee members, I had a section for Sean and Kate to,
Yeah.
if you guys are willing, have your headshots and then a couple bullets. You're integrally part of this.
Can I ask a question
course.
about how is that site gonna be, is there gonna be a webmaster who's updating it and putting current stuff on it
We,
on a,
we do not have a webmaster.
you're the webmaster?
No, we do not have a webmaster
Well,
at the city.
We
but
don't,
I think,
but
but somebody must update things.
So we provide the content and give it to Monty and he will
Put it up.
cut and paste it. Not write it, not edit it,
Yes.
and put it on the existing page that we have. It exists, it already exists.
Yeah, it's,
oh, it will be current.
And he communicated to me early on, we just need to give him content and he will put it on the page.
Yep.
And he recommended to format it to look like the other committees. So I think I shared that,
Right.
which I think you
It's-
I
did.
think this is similar to
Yep.
the way I've presented it.
yeah, the challenge is that even each department's website is maintained by the department, not by Monty.
But once it's up there, I mean,
Yeah.
we could keep an eye on it. and do
Absolutely.
something.
Absolutely. Make sure the links are working, make sure the
Yeah.
content
Yeah.
is what you want it to be. It's just, I'm cautious to not
Yeah,
oversell
I
Monty.
understand.
That's fine. I think that's
Yeah.
fine.
A question as a next step, should we schedule, once you guys have done some cleanup, should we schedule a meeting with Monte, with Beth and Alyssa to just go over this? That feels like a next
Yeah,
step.
I can fizzle.
And if you can send out that mission statement,
I will
that if
send that
everyone
out.
can weigh in on
Yeah.
that, that's the big one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
One more word.
One more announcement. The council did approve the changes to the ordinance to add a non-voting city council liaison. So the mayor will hopefully appoint that person in January, and I hope I am that person. But that's where we are. And I will go ahead and put a step out on the agenda, Public Art Review Committee update on
Good.
Pierce Island project.
Perfect.
Great.
And then we can decide at that meeting what exactly you want me to say.
Okay.
Great.
Perfect.
Great.
This
Excellent.
is exciting.
We're adjourned. Happy holidays.
I
everyone.
need to.
Happy holidays all.
Happy holidays.
Bye. Thank you.